that before the GST, there was no GST. Yet this country was able to survive and to be developed without GST. The introduction of GST was because they want to abolish SST and substitute it with GST. And then they give a figure that the GST actually increases government revenue. It is not true.
So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, today I will explain about the implementation or process about the implementation of GST and also SST. So, the first one is GST. The implementation for GST is 2015-2018. So, first GST was announced in the budget 2005 and was officially confirmed in budget 2014. So, basically the government planned to switch from SST to GST. So the second is GST is stand for the Goods and Service Tax Act 2014. So the government has made the seminar and also media campaign and also public guide for the company and also for the public. So basically, who have to register for the GST? So basically, for the business who has annually exceeding turnover 5,000 ringgit have to required to register for the GST. But for the smaller business, were allowed to register as a volunteer. So basically, the GST will collect from the consumer and then give to the Royal Malaysian Custom Department. So that's all the explanation about the GST. Now we move to the SST, which is the SST is implementation from the 2018 to present. So after the 2018 general election, the government wanted to abolish the GST because of the satisfaction of the people who have the cost of living higher. So after that, the SST was first effect on the 1st September 2018 and GST zero rate on the 1st June 2018 and repeat on the 1st September 2018. SST was stand for the sales tax 2018 and the service tax 2018. So the tax structure for the sales tax and also the service tax. So for the sales tax is for the manufacturing and importers and import from the 5% to 10%. So the service tax is fixed rate, which is the 6%. So who have the responsibility? The Royal Malaysian Custom has the responsibility to monitoring the audit and also the SST providing taxpayer service. So that's all for the explanation for the implementation GST and also SST. So now we move to the next explanation about the differentiate between GST and also SST. So I will pass it to the Alif.
Next, I will talk about the differences between GST and SST. There are lots of differences between GST and SST, but today I'm only highlight 5 different points between GST and SST. So the first one is tax system type. For SST, it is a single stage tax, which means it's only charged at one stage level. Usually, it's applied at manufacturer or service provider level. And however, for GST, it is a multi-stage level tax, which means it's charged at every level of supply chain, from the manufacturer to the wholesaler to the retailer. Next is input tax credit. For GST, the business can claim the tax they pay on their purchases. But however, for SST, they cannot claim back the tax they pay on their purchases. And this causes tax on tax situation. For example, the retailer buys a biscuit from the manufacturer at 60 cent tax, and then the retailer sell back the biscuit to the customer at 90-cent tax. So the retailer only pays 30-cent tax to the government. However, for SST, they cannot claim anything because they absorb the tax into the price amount. The third point is tax transparency. For GST, it is more clear because it is clearly shown on the receipt, which is it states GST 6%. However, for SST, it is less transparent. Because why? Because the tax amount is already included in the total amount of the price. So, for example, when you guys shopping or at shop at the supermarket, if you guys realize at the bottom of the receipt there are no states which is SST how many percent. Because why? Because it's already included in the price total amount.
Number 4 for the difference is about the compliance and reporting. So for GST, it's more frequent and detailed, which is usually every month you have to report. But in SST, you only have to report with 2 months and less detail. For example, under GST, a business have to report how much the tax and how much the tax paid, and usually every month. But under SST, a similar business have to report every 2 months and less detail. So for the last differentiate between GST and SST is the effect on the consumer. So SST, we add with the higher price, which is the tax is added on the third item already. So we call it as cascading tax, which is a double taxation. For the GST, we never add the tax with the same tax, so we call it no double taxation. For the example, SST, manufacturing and retailing have the different tax retailing, different tax separately, which is it's called double taxation. But for the GST, the manufacturing and retailing have the same tax, which is we tax each one time only. So that's all.
So guys, based on the differences just now between GST and SST, which system do you guys think yields higher revenue for the government? What do you guys think? So, based on the differences just now, actually GST gives higher revenue to the government. Why? Because it's collected at every stage of the supply chain. For example, in 2017, GST brought about 44 billion, but SST in 2019 only made around 27 billion. So, based on statistics, it's clearly GST is more efficient and generates more money than SST.
So, we know the difference between GST and SST. So, as a consumer, we need to know which one is more practically and effectively to us. So, let me explain to you the GST and SST process. So, in GST, they will have a tax charge in multiple stages. So, they may have a temporary increase in consumer price. But, however, we can know the tax charge in our receipt. But in SST, they will have a single stage charge in our tax. So in our taxation, they will not have our tax charge, but they have tax charge in manufacture and service process. So they look more cheaper to the consumer. But we don't know the tax charge that will include to us because they will have been hidden include in our price. So I give you some example process in GST and SST. So let me go to the GST first. So we go to the electronic sector. So we want to buy television. In GST, they will make from the manufacturer, and manufacturer will sell it to the wholesaler, and wholesaler will sell it to the retailer, and retailer will sell it to the consumer. So every transaction from the manufacturer to the consumer, they will have 6% tax charge. So that was a GST. So, but in SST, they have a single stage charge. So they have a single stage charge. For example, the local businessman want to sell television, but from other country. So they will purchase it from there, and then they have a 10% charge in custom checks. So from there, they have a charge from manufacturer to the businessman, and businessman will sell it to the us consumer, but they have no tax charge, but they have a hidden include in our price. So us and consumer, we don't know the tax charge they will include to us. That was the process of the SST.
Okay guys, next I will explain to you guys about why the government still continuing to implement SST other than GST that has been more efficient and effective. The first reason is because of the public sentiment and political promise. After the 2018 general election, the new government removed GST. Many people felt that GST have become burden because it made the cost of living getting higher. So taking it away was a promise that was given by the government during the election. And they kept that promise. They brought back SST instead. The second reason is because of the it can be a simplified system for business. SST is easier for small and medium businesses. It needs less paperwork and cheaper to follow. And there is no need to calculate input and output tax or do difficult tax form. And lastly is because it can be the short-term relief, short-term economic relief. GST help the people, especially for those who with the low income. The daily item purchases price also will be a bit cheaper, and it can give some relief to family who were struggling. For the next point, I will pass to my friend.
Okay, switching tax system isn't easy. Moving back to SST was administratively quicker than from GST. The government needed a fast, workable solution. So, SST was the simplest path forward. Think of it like renovation of a house. Sometimes it is easier to repaint than to rebuild the entire structure. Well, on balancing revenue and stability, here is the trade-off. GST generates more revenue, but is less popular. Meanwhile, SST is more accepted but brings in less money. For now, Malaysia has chosen stability over maximum revenue. It is a reminder that economic policy isn't just about numbers. It is about people's life and confidence in the system. So, if it is you are the one who make decision which is SST or GST for our nation, which is gonna be? Think about it.